I wasn't gonna say nothing about this, but I've been quiet too long. Y'all young folks don't remember this, but I do. Back when I was coming up, we had an old preacher in our neighborhood. Big man, kind eyes. He used to teach us out the Bible every Wednesday night in the basement of that little church on the corner. And one night, I'll never forget it, he opened to Genesis 9 and he started talking about the curse of Ham. I was maybe 9 years old, maybe 10. And I watched that man, a black man, stand in front of a room full of black children and tell us we was cursed. That God himself had marked us out for service. That slavery was just the Bible coming true. I went home that night and I asked my grandmama about it. She didn't say nothing for a long time. Then she said, "Boy, they've been telling that lie a long time. Don't you swallow it." I didn't understand what she meant back then. I do now. Because this past week I've been reading the news, watching these reparations debates, watching these countries arguing about who counts as a descendant of slavery and who don't, watching folks try to figure out who we are. And I sat back and I thought, they still doing it. Same lie, different decade. Now I'ma tell you something. What that preacher told us in that basement, what they've been preaching from white pulpits and black pulpits for 400 years. That whole story about the curse of Ham, that ain't in the Bible. Read it for yourself. Genesis 9. Noah don't curse Ham. He curses Canaan. One son, not a continent, not a race. One grandson in one specific situation over one specific piece of land. And somehow, a few European scholars in the 1700s and 1800s turned that one verse into a theology that justified putting us on ships. Ain't nobody told you that part. Now look at this. You go to Genesis chapter 10. The Bible calls it the table of nations. 70 families. 3 sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the covenant, the promise, the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That whole prophetic line. It don't run through Ham. It runs through Shem. That's the genealogical record. Plain as day. And here's what they did. They took us, the people who came across that water in chains, and they put us in the wrong column. They told us we was handmaids, cursed, servants by design. And once you believe that, you read the Bible like an outsider. You read about Israel and you think, that's somebody else's story. That's how you steal a people's inheritance without taking nothing out they pocket. You just change what they think their name is. Now go to Deuteronomy 28. I've been reading this chapter since I was a young man, and every time I read it, it stopped me cold. The Most High is laying out the curses that's going to fall on his covenant people if they turn from him. And listen to what he says. He said, "Thou shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth." He said, "Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people." He said, "Thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations." A byword. That means your suffering becomes a saying, a reference point. Every nation on earth knows your story, uses it, compares to it. And then verse 68. "The Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships." With ships. Now I've been around long enough to know. There's only one people in the recorded history of this earth who got carried into bondage on ships, at industrial scale, across an ocean, by the millions. And it ain't the people they've been telling you it is. That's old as the Bible. That ain't new. That was written down 3,000 years before the first slave ship left the coast of Africa. My grandmama knew. Her grandmama knew. They tried to make us forget. They burned our names. They changed our languages. They put their gods in our churches and told us to call it Christianity. But the word remembers. The word always remembers. You ever wonder why Deuteronomy 28 reads like somebody filming a documentary on slavery? Why every line in there matches what happened to our people on these shores? It's because that chapter wasn't written for some other people who happen to look like us. It was written for us, about us, by the God who scattered us and who promised to gather us back. Listen close. I'm only saying this once. You can't be cursed by a covenant you was never part of. The reason Deuteronomy 28 fits us is because we Shem, not Ham, Shem, the covenant column, the promise column, the bloodline they tried to bury under 4 centuries of bad theology and twisted scripture. Now here's the part ain't nobody talking about. Go read Amos chapter 9, verse 7. The Most High himself, speaking to Israel, says, "Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel?" Children of the Ethiopians. He drawing a parallel. He's saying, you and them are connected. Most preachers skip right past that verse. They don't know what to do with it. Because if you take it serious, it changes the whole map. And then Zephaniah 3, verse 10. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring mine offering. Beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, that's sub-Saharan Africa. That's where he says his scattered daughters are, his dispersed people, the ones who are going to come back to him with offerings in their hands. I seen it with my own eyes. I traveled some in my younger years. I've been in places where folks looked at me and called me brother before I opened my mouth. I've been in countries where the elders pulled me aside and told me things about my own face I didn't know how to hear yet. Ain't nobody told you that part either. The word Semitic, it come from Shem, same root. And the languages they call Semitic today, Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic, and Amharic. The language of Ethiopia, same family, same root. The ancient world wasn't pale. The ancient world looked a lot more like us than it looked like the pictures they put on the wall. Now what's coming is coming. I ain't wishing it on nobody. I'm just telling you what's written. The same prophets who said we'd be scattered, said we'd be gathered. Isaiah 11 said the Lord would set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. The second time. The first time was Egypt. The second time is from the four corners of the earth, from the islands of the sea, from the west and from the east. That second gathering ain't happened yet. The word said it, I didn't. And the systems that was built on our backs, the institutions that got rich off the lie that we was cursed when we was actually covenant, those systems are coming apart right now. You watching it on the news every night. You see the cracks, you see the shaking, you see the money moving and the alliances changing and folks scrambling. That ain't chaos. That's a schedule. That's a clock that started ticking the day the first ship pulled out from West Africa, and it's running down to zero in our lifetime. The Most High remembers his people. I held on to that a long time. Through losses I won't talk about on this camera, through years I'd rather forget, he remembers. He documented the scattering before it happened, and he announced the gathering before it ended. You ain't a footnote. You ain't no spectator at somebody else's covenant. If your people came through them ships, if your bloodline runs back through Virginia and the Carolinas and Jamaica and Haiti and Brazil, then the chapter they used to curse you was the chapter that proved who you was the whole time. They put you in the wrong column on purpose. And the Most High been waiting on you to find your way back. If what I said meant something to you, stay around. I'll be here next week. I got more to say. There's a whole lot more in this book that nobody told us, and I'm working through it slow, the way it ought to be done. I told you what I know. The rest is on you. I'll see you when I see you.